Welcome back to College 101. Today we are going through LinkedIn profiles, do's and don'ts, and we're actually going to look at my personal profile as an example. Again, you're always welcome to come and connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to hear from you and let me know what questions you might have there. Like Facebook or any of the others, you connect with people, you can see who your friends of friends are, or second and third level connections are, as they call them. And then you get a feed of posts that people are making. You can also follow pages. So I usually follow several company pages or certain hashtags you can follow, things like that. So it's a pretty standard social media website. You all will be pretty familiar with how to use it, but I want to walk you through what a good profile should look like. And I do want to give a shout out. I don't think he even knows I'm doing this, but a lot of my advice and reworking of my LinkedIn profile came from a guy named Austin Henlon. He's a BYU graduate who works for LinkedIn now. So he should know, right? So definitely check him out, follow him on LinkedIn. He posts a lot of polls and things like that to get input from people, and then shares his words of wisdom and advice as a LinkedIn employee for what works best on LinkedIn for networking. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into it. All right, so here we are. We're on my LinkedIn page, and just to show you what sorts of things, so I'm connected to almost 900 people. Mostly they're people I knew from college professors, and that makes up maybe 150 people, 200 people. And so the other 600 or 700 people are actually people in industries that I'm interested in. So just to give you a quick little scroll through, we see here I'm an engineer in the industrial automation space. So we see here that I've got some control systems, some control panels. We've got someone who is preaching the hustle gospel. You'll see a lot of that on LinkedIn. People say, if you just work hard and always be your best and improve and blah, blah, blah. And, hard work is great, but, you're not a motivational speaker. But they are kind of fun. And every once in a while, they do actually motivate you. Posts like this are what made me finally start the college guide. So maybe they are good for something. Here's something from a BYU professor. They're looking for faculty. Here's an old student of mine when I was a TA. He's looking for a job, so I'll have to come back and see if I've got anything he's interested in my network. Here we've got someone posting a video from their YouTube channel for their company in the field. Here's someone making a meme about SQL programming. So you know what? I think that's pretty funny, so we'll like that. Then some more people showing themselves doing work for a customer, more videos on how to do things. So you see, this is sort of the space I'm in, is it's all about industrial automation. And then there's people who are sharing resources for where to learn more. They're posting pictures of their work, which is kind of like advertising for their company. So I enjoy it quite a bit. So definitely try and get people in a space you're interested in. One of the number one flaws I see from college students, and I've actually looked at a lot of college students doing research for the college guide, is they connect with their professors, they connect with the people in like the one class where you learn about LinkedIn in your major. So they have like less than 100 connections. And nothing looks more unimpressive to a recruiter when you have a small number of connections and you aren't active on LinkedIn. But we'll get to that later. So let's go ahead and look over my profile. So you see here right away, first I want to talk about these pictures. So my cover photo, that's a picture of the Salt Lake skyline. If you've never been to Salt Lake City, now you know. There it is. So this shows people who might see me, okay, he's in the Salt Lake City area. It's pretty generic. You can do more with this, more personal. You could do something about your university if you're still in college. You could take an image from the industries you're interested in. I have also seen some people do a really cool thing where they sort of make a little life path picture, a custom cover photo where it shows, I'm from here and I went to college here and I worked here, and kind of steps through their life in images. And so that's kind of a cool idea if you want to put that time in. The next thing you see is my profile picture. And to be 100% honest, it's not the greatest profile picture in the world for LinkedIn. It's a little bit dark. It's kind of 3/4 side on. A lot of times people do it more of a like waist up type photo. And the reason for this is I don't have a lot of professional or really good photos taken of me. So I think this is actually like a cropped section from one of my engagement photos. So, but it gets the job done. It's more professional looking than, me in like a t-shirt and jeans or out doing something. It's a pretty clear photo. You don't have to worry about quality issues if someone was to look at it. And I think you can recognize it's me. You know, if I turn my head this way, I kind of look the same, right? So images, put them both. Nothing, okay, I'm going to quit saying nothing will because I'm going to say that a lot. But if you don't have your pictures or even a cover photo, even if you have a profile picture, again, looks very unprofessional. The next thing, put the name you want to be called by. And then underneath that is what they call your tagline. And you see here, my tagline, a lot of times, and what LinkedIn will automatically generate for you is recent job title at recent company. And that's good enough, but it doesn't really tell people who you are and what you do. So I put here kind of a job title. I'm a controls engineer. I'm in the control space, industrial automation. I put where I graduated from the year so people know. That way, if there's BYU students or BYU alumni, they might connect with me just because I'm from BYU. Why not? And then something personal. I'm the founder of the College Guide. I think that's pretty cool. And people might say, what is the College Guide? Well, it's this YouTube channel and might even become a podcast too, where I'm trying to help college students learn more about what college is like, what to expect, and how to succeed. I have my area there. That's nice if recruiters are looking for you. Someone from like New Jersey is not going to call me and see if I want a job because I'm in Salt Lake. And then there is contact info that you can put there. So someone could come click on that and send you an email or get a phone number if you have that available. Next, you see here it says 500 plus connections. That's the LinkedIn limit for what it shows. So if you get to 501 connections, for all any recruiter knows, you could have like 10,000 connections. So I'm not saying you have to just go for 500 connections. That alone doesn't mean you're a rock star. But having, 200, 300 connections, it kind of makes you look a little good. Next thing, there is that open to work section. I'm obviously not open to work right now. I have a brand new job. I love my job. I'm still learning a ton, so I'm not open to work, but that's where you can add if you're open to work. And there you can choose several options like what areas you're interested in working in, what fields, and things like that. We come down here to analytics, and you see here I've had 187 people look at my profile, and I think this is the last 90 days, maybe the last 30 days. 2,300 post views, and honestly, I've only made like one post in the last few weeks, so that one post did decently well. A little bit of engagement, so not bad. And I've been in 30 searches, so not a ton, especially since I'm not looking. I don't have open to work checked. That probably eliminates me from a lot of people's searches. So resources, you can go see your network, go through all the people you have. We're not going to do that right now. This next section is the About section. And you see, that's pretty long. And the reason for that is that if someone is coming to your LinkedIn profile, it's because they want to know more about you. It's probably someone that has already seen your resume, or they're on LinkedIn and are trying to actually get to know and connect with people, not just, see resumes for hiring. So it can be longer. They have time to read it. So it is a little cheesy, but you know me, right? To be honest, I haven't really updated this much for about a year. I updated this and kept my LinkedIn profile very up to date while I was job searching during COVID, and then even after I had my job for about 6 months. So this is from about then. I show a little personality. I go through, my recent career changes and skills. I put my interests. I say where I see my career going and where my passions are. I also have this little Clifton Strengths thing. For a while, I was seeing that on a bunch of profiles. You don't have to put that. It's some test you can take and it will tell you like your 5 biggest professional personality traits or something. So I honestly wouldn't worry about it, but whatever. Next is featured posts. And again, you can see these aren't anything all that recent, unfortunately, but they are kind of fun. So I have here that I got 2nd place in my senior design project. I talk about the course I developed for Varsity Tutors when COVID came out and they were trying to have tutors create original course content. I have that I passed the FE exam. And let's see, what else do I have? Oh, I have a link to my personal website where I have some of my stuff like that. Then here you go to activity. And you see here, activity, it shows like the 2 most recent things if they've been in the last, I believe, 90 days. And again, this is very, very important. If someone is connecting with you on LinkedIn and they want to know you're actually there, you're going to see their message, see their connection request. So you don't have to do it that much. You just have to go and like a couple things or comment on a couple things, maybe twice a week. And that makes you look pretty active on LinkedIn. So you see I commented on something and I even tagged someone else. So you see networking it in action. And then there was the post I made about something I was doing at work. Now we get into the experience section, and again, this is another place where it should not just be a carbon copy of your resume. If it is, you're using LinkedIn wrong. It's defeats the purpose. The point of LinkedIn is that you have more space and more time because people are voluntarily coming here to look at you. A resume, an HR person is being forced to look at that because you applied to a job. Your LinkedIn profile means they're interested in you. So on Austin Henlon's advice, he says, put a little description of the company you're working for, especially from your perspective. And so I talk about my specific locations because Northrop Grumman is a nationwide company. And so I talk about what we do here in Utah for Northrop Grumman. And then I have 3 little bullet point type things about what I'm doing. I'm pretty new to the job, so it's nothing too specific, nothing too impressive. You see, compared to my resume bullet points, they're not very polished. But that's just because I'm new and I'm also not actively looking for a job or even actively wanting people to reach out to me with jobs, so I can be a little more lax about it. But as we look at a few of these other type things, you're going to see what a better section looks like. So here, RSP Supply is a pretty small company that probably no one have really heard of, depending on where they work. So I write a pretty decent description about it, and then you see I have a lot of contributions there. Some of these are very similar to my resume. Some of them are in addition to, because I have more space, so I can do more description and say more things. I also have here a link to our website, a little bit of advertising and marketing. Working at a small company, especially a sales company, you wear a lot of hats, so I was really trying to push us out there. Then you see here, I have my tutoring experience, and I don't just say, oh, I was an online tutor. I say I was an online tutor, and standardized test prep was mostly what I did, and then also engineering concepts. And I have a link here to the course I developed about engineering concepts. And if any of you want to go and see that, it was, I think it was 12, or I think it was 12. I think it was a 6-week course, twice a week. So I think it was 12 lectures on, I talked about how engineering works in the real world. So I talk about how refining works. I talk about how ballistics work. I talk about like bionic implants. I talk about all these different things I learned a little bit about in my classes and present them to high schoolers to say, this is what engineering is. It's really cool. So if any of you think you might want to be an engineer, go check that out. It's on my website. You can find the link on my LinkedIn profile. I have here my other jobs, and you see they're kind of edging out my older experience because LinkedIn is chronological, but I have a teaching assistant, and I put the 2 courses that I worked there. I have being an ultimate Frisbee coach. And then here you see I get into my other internships, and again, I describe the company and put some bullet points and things like that. So that's my experience section. Again, look at how long that was compared to a 1-page resume where maybe half of it is your experience. This is a massive thing where you get to talk a lot more. All right, break time. How did the man feel who got run over? Tired. If you've liked this video so far, or if you like that silly little pun, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you really think I'm ridiculous, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, and come and see if I get any better over the course of my videos. That's experience. Next is education. Under education, there are a lot of things you can do. You can put your years, you can put your GPA, you can put any activities you're doing. And then I put a little bit of a description saying, these are the elective courses that I chose to take, so you kind of know what I might be interested in. And then I also describe my senior design project. So a pretty brief education section there. You don't have to worry about putting high school. If you went to a community college or a technical college, you can maybe put that. It makes you a little different, and you might as well put it here where space is cheap. Last thing is licenses and certifications. So I put that I passed that exam I talked about in my last video on resume reviews, put the date on it. They also have these skill assessments you can do. And in fact, you can put a lot of different skills. You can put whatever skills you want here, but then there are also these skill assessments you can do that show people, well, I'm at least minimally proficient. Like, I am not some great Python programmer, but I knew enough to pass LinkedIn skill assessment, so if someone's curious how good I am, they would know. You can also put in the courses you took. I honestly probably wouldn't spend the time here. When I was job hunting, I was spending quite a bit of time on LinkedIn, and so I probably did a few things that aren't giving me that good of a return on investment. But you can do, or you put the class name, the class code, and what university it was from. Lastly, down here, you've got honors and awards and scholarships. and test scores. So I put my National Merit, I put Oklahoma All-State, I put the departmental scholarships I got at BYU, and I think I have my Eagle Scout here too. Yep, so I have my Eagle Scout with a little bit of a description. And then lastly, I have my test scores. So again, those probably will never matter again in my life, but they were important at one time. Then if you look at interests, so I actually follow 113 different companies, and they're pretty much all in the industrial automation space or in the chemical engineering space. As far as groups, I'm in a couple of groups, and then schools, I follow BYU because they're my alumni school. So that's a pretty brief walkthrough of what a okay LinkedIn profile looks like. If I had to give it a score, I would say maybe a 7 out of 10. And maybe I'm being generous because it's myself, but that's where I'd put it. All right, so now that you've seen my LinkedIn profile, there are just a few tips that I want to go through for how to effectively use LinkedIn. The first one is actually use it. Use it like a social media. And in fact, I'm the kind of person who doesn't like anything on Facebook or whatever, and I don't even have anything newer than Facebook. So that shows you I'm kind of an old guy when it comes to social media. But on LinkedIn, I'll like posts, I'll watch videos, I'll comment, I connect with strangers. I'm way more active on LinkedIn, and that's how I built up a network of almost 900 people, and I've got an interesting feed so that when I open it up, I actually like what I'm looking at. So definitely do that. And this is one of the ways that they talk about building a network, even if you don't have a huge network from where you're from or your school, is you can go on LinkedIn and find somebody. And what I found to be true, at least in my niche or my small section of LinkedIn, is that there are several, a dozen or 2 dozen LinkedIn all-stars, and they post like every single day, and they've got like thousands of connections, and lots of people comment and see their posts. And so if you connect with them, now you are only one step away from thousands of people in your field of study or field of interest. So if you can find these people, then you kind of got an in with the entire industry. So definitely try and find those people and build that. You can sometimes see that through connecting with companies or just connecting with people one by one. And it will be one of those things where you might not even realize it till it happens. So just be persistent and be active on LinkedIn. The second piece of advice I'll give is that LinkedIn is pretty saturated for business majors, and it's also pretty saturated for engineers. So if you're in any other field, if you're active on LinkedIn, you can very quickly become a figure or an authority on LinkedIn, and you can be active and people can know who you are. Because even in the engineering space, I am pretty ingrained in a lot of networks now, and I really enjoy it. So if you're in the humanities or the arts or things like that, you can actually stand out a lot easier than maybe some business major who has to really fight hard to stand out. The second thing is think of this like an investment in your future, because it is. The job I just got, yes, I showed you my resume in the last video, but I also reached out to a student I used to know at BYU when I was a TA who worked there, and I sent him a message on LinkedIn, or I think I grabbed his contact info from LinkedIn and sent him an email and said, hey, are there any jobs open? This is what I'm interested in. These are the locations I'm interested in. What do you think? He put me in touch with the right people, passed on my resume, and the rest is history. So even certain strangers on LinkedIn, if you're active enough and you talk to them enough and send them a message, this is where you can do informational interviews that might lead to something. To give you an idea, I've actually helped 2 people get jobs at my company, even though I've been there less than 4 months. And I'm going to make a video about how that worked, but secret, it was LinkedIn. Lastly, just make sure that your profile looks put together and complete. Make sure you mark that you're open to work if you are open to work. Fill that out for what locations you're interested in and things like that. So I am going to make another video in the future about how to use LinkedIn for a job search, or how I did job searching so as to not get too burned out. I know a lot of people get burned out with the job hunt, and I want to show you the simple, easy ways that you can do it so that it seems reasonable and manageable and consistent. I'm not going to guarantee you're going to get a job in 2 weeks or anything, but hopefully it will help your emotional state from the grind of the job hunt. If you'd be interested in that or have any questions in particular about that, let me know in the comments below. Thanks again for watching this episode of College 101 here on the College Guide, and we'll see you next time.